It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Vitaly Gantman, DMD, graduated University of Montreal in 2012, after which he worked with Native communities in Canada's Northwest Territories for 18 months. He returned to Montreal in early 2015 and shortly after opened his first practice with his university buddy, Dr. Michael Benarroch. Since then, they have grown to 5 locations throughout Greater Montreal with 15 associate dentists. They offer advanced aligner therapy using Invisalign in all of their practices and their diamond providers. They offer mentorship through their established network and are helping dentists become the best versions of themselves. They saw an opportunity in the dental supply world in 2018 and are founders of Dentira with Vikas Gupta, a software engineer, and Dr. Sudha Chinta, Endodontist in San Diego. Today, Dentira has more than 4,000 offices across America and is growing at a rapid rate. They are on a mission to transform the way dental supplies are purchased and bring transparency to the world of dental supplies. And we both, I guess your first job out of dental school was with my buddy John Lyons.
That's it.
I got to tell you the funniest John Lyons story. So he's a legend in my mind. Back in the day, practice management wasn't as common. It was hard to find like-minded people. And he's in Montreal, Quebec, and he flew all the way to Phoenix. And you got to know, Arizona, 10% of the homes are owned by Canadians. And they always wait till the currency fluctuates and it's a good time because they all winter down here. So 1 in 10 homes are Canadians, and you always know who the Canadians are in winter. You know them a mile away because they're walking around like shorts and sandals and a t-shirt, and it's like 60 degrees and wearing jackets and socks and sweats. And my 4 boys were obviously alive, and he came over and he goes, "Oh my God, I love your swimming pool. Let's go swim." And I'm like, no, you don't understand it. It's January, and we went out there. The water was like 68 degrees, and we said, "No, it's not heated." And he's like,
that's summer.
"Oh my God!" He takes off all his clothes, dives in the pool, and me and the 4 boys are looking at him like, "Okay, this has got to be all in her mind. This is not real." So we all said, "Okay, we're gonna join the Canadian," and we jumped in. I swear to God, we almost died. We all jumped out. Our teeth were chattering. We turned purple. I thought Zach had to be wrapped in blankets, and John the whole time was still swimming. And then when he was done, he laid out by the pool for like a half hour, an hour or something. We're just like, okay, it's more than mental.
Robbins therapy right there.
What?
That's some Tony Robbins therapy.
Oh my God. Well, you've seen those deals where there'll be like an ice field and a bunch of crazy people will go ice swimming for 10 seconds. But anyway, I saw that with John Lyons and I tried to be John Lyons, and I'm no John Lyons. So how's he doing?
He's doing great, man. He's doing great. They're slowly pushing towards retirement now. Their practice got so big, they got new partners to help them out and to keep growing. But they're doing like 2 days a week now, enjoying their life. And I think they've done a nice contribution to dentistry here in Canada, which is still different than America. We don't have as many DSOs yet. We don't have corporations really. I think they're slowly giving the torch away to the younger generation.
And I don't want to put any words in John's mouth, but he was a big mentor of mine. I mean, he was very productive, all kinds of stuff. But
same here.
I'm not saying John said this, but it kind of practice management people. If you made it and successful in the States, your colleagues are like, "Oh, that's cool," and they want to go hear you. But in Canada, it's kind of not the same feeling. It's like if you got too big or successful, people are looking at you like, "It's what?"
It's frowned upon.
Yeah, it's more conservative, isn't it?
It is. Like if you're a dentist driving a Ferrari in Canada, it's because you're a crook, right?
Right.
That's the mentality people still have here. I mean, like you should be driving, a used car, and you should be the honest guy. And having professional success does not translate into being somebody who's rich necessarily.
And it's like me, I name my show Dentistry Uncensored because I have no filters. But as a professional, I really try to turn up the filters when I'm in the South. Because, I mean, they'll walk out with the word shit or damn or, let alone, any the big ones. And but it's the same in that Toronto region. I mean, and people just don't get the mindset that northern Minnesota, Toronto, Ontario, it's a bunch of really conservative people. It's just like the South. I mean, it is like the South.
You said, we love the cold, man. We're conservative people. We love that city water.
So I don't know where to start with you. If we should start with, my God, that you own 5 locations throughout Greater Montreal, or should we go right into your dental supplies? But before we start, I just want to ask you a personal question. The United States today, they're starting to roll out today. 10,000 random people are going to get the coronavirus vaccine, and half of them will be, a control group getting nothing. And you're a big boy. Would you risk that? Would you take that shot, or would you peace out?
Listen, honestly, I don't think I would do it, or I would give it to my kids, given the option.
How many kids you have?
I have 2 kids. I have a boy who's 2.5, and my daughter's 9 months.
And so the 9-month-old, you don't know if you really want to give it to her or not. Wait, call me back when they're both teenagers. But so you wouldn't take it or give it to your kids.
Then we're not in a risk demographic, right? So would I take the chance of using a vaccine to prevent a disease that likely wouldn't harm me? It's debatable, and I don't know. I didn't follow how they went through clinical trials. Did they go through all of the steps, or was this just pushed and accelerated, and we didn't go through all the regular steps of approval of a vaccine?
Oh, I don't know if you heard me or not. I said it was in America, so it's just money's the answer. What's the question? Oh, it's
how much money? How much money? How much money?
No, it's just it'll only be about money. Especially in these times right now. Money's the answer. What's the question? In fact, I'd be 10 times more likely to try it if Australia or New Zealand or Germany. If Germany was doing it, I'd do it. If America was doing it, I'd hide my wallet and run.
Yeah. So no. I don't think I would put my kids to do it. But I mean, if you're in a more of a risk demographic, there might be more interesting for you to obviously do it.
So, well, that's kind of funny because you're talking about risk, and you're saying that you're in a low risk demographic, and so you wouldn't want to try it. Yet when it comes to risk, hell, you went after dental supplies, which is owned by the big boys. I mean, Shine and Benco and Patterson and Burkhart and everything. What made you just sit there and say, okay, these are the biggest guys on the block? Was it because your name? Vitaly sounds like Vitaly Vladimir Klitschko. Where did your name draw the boxer out of you, and you realized that you were ready? Because Shine's a monster. And what's the other one where the founder Sinclair, where the founder passed away about a year ago, didn't he?
Yeah. Sinclair, they're pretty big in Canada. They're the top 3 in Canada. Yeah, that's right. But so it's a misconception. We're not going after these guys. That's not the objective of what Dentira is doing. So Dentira is this transparent layer in the transaction. We're basically coming in saying, hey guys, we've been doing orders, pen and paper, for as long as we can remember, and it's a huge waste of time. It's not efficient. It's not good for your bookkeeping. It's easy to get confused. There's got to be a more 21st century way of doing this. And that's exactly what we went after. So we got a technological way of managing supplies to make it more convenient for dentists. And today, I think we're the most advanced procurement software out in the market. So we're there to help the dentists. We're not there to compete with suppliers. We're there to reduce costs. We're there to make your time more efficient and to let dentists do what they like doing best, which is doing dentistry.
What is the well, first of all, I just want to, for the record, this is not an advertisement commercial. I called you, it wasn't vice versa. I called you because on Dental Town, they were calling you the kayak for dental supplies.
Yeah. So I think it makes sense, because basically what we're trying to do is, when we did create the platform initially, is, let's say your assistant, is trying to order something today. So she needs to go ahead, call the suppliers, try to get them on the line. There's 100 other people calling this person. She might get on the line or not get on the line. Then she needs to get a quote for a product, let's say composite. And then the rep is like, well, I don't know the price today. Let me check. And then they check. Then they get back to you. And there's all this wasted time trying to get supplies with a margin of error. When in reality, what you could do is you could just go online, you Google composite, and there you go. You have all the composites you're looking for across all the suppliers that are available. And you pick and choose whatever fits your needs. So it's a much, much, much easier way of shopping versus what we're doing today, which is very, very labor intensive.
You posted, when was that? When I called you, I saw your post on Dental Sense. I said, yes, Dentira, it is. Someone's asking what's the name of the thread. An app. So I heard of an app or a program on a podcast that would price compare all of the different vendors by logging into your accounts like Patterson, Shine, Benco, etc., and give you a breakdown. I cannot remember what that app was or podcast I heard on. Does anybody know what it is? And then Clayton says, it sounds like Dentira, and you said, well, yes, it is. We offer real-time price comparison through all our vendors. Our goal is to try and bring transparency to the market. As a dentist, I was fed up wasting my staff's time trying to save on supplies and price comparing. So we decided to create Dentira as a unified marketplace where all distributors can post their products without having to pay the reps. This means more savings for us dentists. On average, we are seeing savings of 20 to 30% on orders. Let us know if you have any questions. Two things. First of all, what does Dentira mean? Is that a French-Canadian word? Or is that a...
It just went through a focus group. We liked the name. It sounded good. It sounded catchy, and it sounded like people would be able to easily remember the name. So we came up with Dentira.
Okay, so it's like Xerox or all the prescriptions. Xerox and Kodak were the same thing. They were the Kodak and the Xerox people say, can you invent a word that we can own that nobody owns? And now to do that, you look at English words. It's like the top. Well, first of all, when you look at English words, it's like 30% of all the words are just 100 words, and they're called particles, like a, and, the, so if you learn 100 words, 30% English. And then but the 99 of the 100 most commonly used words are all German, because Germans went to England, they're Anglo-Saxon. But you look at prescription, we use the front half of the alphabet. So all the prescription drugs have an X, a Y, and a Z, so it was a made-up name. And then for me and other viewers, what is Kayak? Why are you the Kayak for dental supplies? What is Kayak?
So let's say, you want to go online and you're looking for a trip. And so you go on Kayak, you look up your trip or your hotel, and it gives you the comparison. So everything else that's available in the area that you're looking for. So it's giving you related searches, not just what you're looking for. So you can really see across everybody who is supplying what you're looking for, what's the price? And across even the people you're not looking for, what is the price that they're offering, to have a better image of how much this product costs, because it's not true today that composite is the same price everywhere. We have we have the 20 biggest suppliers, and on a daily basis, I see prices fluctuate 30% between, just give for example Henry Schein and let's say Darby, and versus other suppliers that are available out there too. And we see that dentists sometimes, they buy things out of habit, not because they're necessarily looking to save money, because they don't want to put the time and the effort to do it. So that's
there's another human thing about it is different cultures. Now you were born in Belarus, right?
Yeah, Belarus.
And Belarus?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right? Belarus?
Belarus, you got
Between Ukraine, I've been there, Estonia, Latvia. I've lectured in St. Petersburg, Kiev, Warsaw. Love that whole area. Like I was telling you, the Ukraine looks just like Kansas. It was just rolling flat hills of wheat. Is that how you remember Ukraine?
Listen, Ukraine was our neighbor. It looks exactly the same thing. My grandfather had a farm, and we would drive into the farm. We had these huge fields with the hay that was stacked up, and there was all these cows roaming free. And I remember just walking with my father. They were what's the word you're looking for here? Where they were just like pulling all the cows together, and they were
herding. Yeah. I felt like when I was in that area. I mean, western, eastern Poland, Ukraine. I mean, it's just you're in the wheat fields of Kansas. But different cultures like negotiating. Like when you go down to Mexico, you just cross the border of Arizona and Mexico. They love to barter. But Americans don't like to, the majority of Americans don't like to barter. And some countries love it. It's a game. It's like a sport. I mean, they can't wait. In fact, they don't even want to buy it. But if they can talk you down to this price, they're going to buy it. And in America, as we don't like to do that, but as we become more and more friends, it's easy just to raise the price. And I've seen it happen to me several times with like my maid. I mean, I had this maid forever, and she was always giving me the short change because she'd even tell me that one pilot who's single, but this is the only day he's in town. So we were such friends. She would always throw me under the bus to go take care of us. And finally one day I just said, and I told her about this all the time. I said, I can't do business with you anymore because I'm your friend. So I can't count on you because you'll know I won't do anything. So I let her go. Another one was the yard guy. I have to get rid of my yard guy about every 7 or 8 years because since we're friends and friendly and they'll just come in and use the bathroom, drink water, my price just, it never go, it just drifts up or everything's an add-on. And then when I finally rebid it out, I can get it for half the price. So I always thought that was a problem with a rep. I mean, if a rep knows that you're sweet, you don't like to do this, you're not like that kind of a person, then they just comfortably pad your account.
They're going to go and test the waters and be like, okay, like this month, let's just try charging him a little bit more. We'll see if he says something.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what happens with dentists. I think you're talking about like cultural differences and whoever likes to barter, but the worst culture is the dentist culture. Like people know we pay for anything. You just give us a price. You go to a course, I like the course, I want to buy the product. I'm going to spend $20,000 right now today because I took this 30-minute course. That's how most.
And why does everyone want to take you out for dinner and drinks? I mean, when I moved to Arizona, when I opened up my practice, I wrote down the list of every doctor that could refer me a practice. I mean, every MD, chiropractor, naturopath, pharmacist, every single one, and probably got 80% of them hammered at my house, steak and dills. Then you have a relationship. And then that's all it is. So, and once you have a relationship, it's hard to sit there and say, come on, Vitaly. I mean, you can do better price than that. Come on, dude. Give me, I want to, so it's. But
you see, we walk into this and others we're noticing, dentists have this generational conflict now because being a younger generation, we're more exposed to Amazon, online shopping, not having this personal interaction anymore. So young dentists coming out of school, they're not looking for necessarily a relationship with the rep. They don't feel bad anymore saying, hey guys, I'm looking for the best price I can get. Why would I pay a premium just so I can get a call from you and you can send me flowers during Christmas or send me chocolate? And, we're seeing this transition happen more and more where, we're wondering, is it worth it to pay a premium because you're dealing with a person versus if you could just buy yourself online? Do you need to pay a commission to a rep because you're buying cotton rolls? Did he actually help you make that decision?
Yeah. So, so going back to kayak, is kayak successful? I mean, is that still a thing? Is that still is that business model a common business model that works?
I think it is. I think, people just like in the traveling industry for a long time, nobody had anything to compare. You'd have to call agencies, go from one agency to another. It was very hard to find pricing. And now it's much, much more easy and it's much more transparent. And the winner at the end of the day is the customer.
And were you able, to find a guy to program a Zach or a kayak for dental supplies in Montreal, Quebec, or are you using somebody in Silicon Valley?
So we're using a guy in Silicon Valley. His name is Vikas Gupta, and he's the original founder with us. So we got into contact with him through common friends, and we met up with him, and he started telling us about his problem and the vision and how he wanted to bring this to the market. And after we flew down to meet him in the Bay Area, we're like, this guy's a genius. He's onto something. He has something completely different than every other company that's doing this right now.
And what's his name?
Vikas Gupta. So he's been in the software for some time. He sold his previous company to Sony, and he's fully dedicated to this now. And he's been phenomenal, really.
And so how long have you been doing this, Dentira?
So we launched in March 2018. So we just hit our 2-year mark with COVID. Listen, we've grown now to 4,000 offices. We see recurrent orders.
Now, those 4,000 offices, are those Canadian, U.S., or around the world?
We're not available in the Canadian market yet. We really started.
Available?
Right now, we're not available in the Canadian market. We're fully available only in the U.S. with hopes to launch probably. We're planning to launch by the end of this year, but it might be postponed to the beginning of next year.
And that sounds bizarre. I mean, you live in Montreal. Why did you launch in the United
So
States when you're
I
home in
love
Canada?
I love CE, and I've traveled all of United States. I've done CE in California, Arizona, Florida, and I think the one of the best kept secrets of CE is to go out there and meet people. Is people like to be local, but the value of meeting people, having this interaction, opens so many doors. And I've met people when I've taken CE in Arizona or Florida that I'm still friends with, and I call on a regular basis, and they've helped me grow my dental practice. But they've also opened doors like meeting Vikas, and I'm part of an Invisalign group with Dr. Galler that has more than 1,000 dentists on a WhatsApp chat, and these guys are just talking daily, daily, daily. So I'm just like surrounded by dentistry on a daily basis, and I think that's really what resonated with Vikas. It's like we're dentists and we love dentistry. So he just, he realized, these are the right partners to have, and it seems like we're going in the right direction. So we're super happy.
So Vikas is not a dentist. He was a Silicon Valley programmer.
He's a software engineer. That's right.
Huh, that is amazing. And how do you Vikas?
Yes. Yeah. Gupta. Gupta.
Yeah, I've always taken the CRM, customer relations management software,
Yeah.
because man, there's 2 million dentists around. You know how everybody says you're 6 degrees of separation from someone?
Yeah.
Dude, if you're a dentist, you're 1 degree, because either your friend that you want to meet never goes to a dentist, and it is just amazing. I have so many. I remember back in the day when we started Dental Town, we were having a problem figuring out a Google search thing.
Yeah.
And, I'm a dentist, Ken and we just couldn't figure it out. And I'd pull my hair out if I had any. And then finally I hit the idea. I said, well, do you have the zip code of Google's office? And he goes, yeah, it's in this city, zip code. So I go to Dental Town. I do a member search for the zip code, pull up like 10 counties. I tell Ken, I said, you write the email because you know what you're looking for. So he wrote the email, and I private messages to 10 dentists on Dental Town. And by 4 hours later, like 3 different people from Google were calling, like, hey, yeah, what's up? What do you need? My dentist just called me. And it's like, it's just, it's pretty cool.
So that comes back to everything, right? You need to be resourceful in life. You need to not be afraid of, thinking out of the box. It's great.
So 2 years out, how's it going?
I think beyond our wildest expectations. So we have all the biggest suppliers on board. We're directly integrated with them, which means that basically like this platform is the easiest to use, and all the prices are directly available instantaneously. You're basically like shopping on Amazon, and you see all the live prices with whatever discount you already have. And we're seeing tremendous growth month to month. Dentists are loving the platform because they're saving money. And we're seeing that there's actually a big saving of time too. So on average, we're seeing 7 hours of saved office manager time because there's less calls, less back and forth, and the platform is really, really user friendly. So we're definitely excited about our future prospects.
So did you go get the dean of McGill University School of Dentistry, Dr. Elham Amani? Did she try it too for the dental school?
So we had some people try it out to just test out the platform, and the general feedback is nothing similar exists. Like it's really, really a game changer for dentists. As soon as you try it, there's really no reason to go back to ordering your regular supplies any other way. It's a no-brainer. The platform is, we're offering almost at no cost. You're looking at $59 a month after the first 2 months, and on average, people are saving, like you said, 20 to 30%, which translates to basically savings of $6,000 to $8,000 a year for the average dental practice that's grossing $600,000.
Say that number again.
So if the average dental practice is grossing, let's say $600,000 today, we're looking at savings in the range of 20 to 30%. So we're seeing savings of about $6,000 to $8,000 which is going directly to net profit.
Okay, well, slow down, Spanky. If the average dental practice is collecting, you said 600,000 a year.
Yeah, so let's say their percentage
and what do you think the average dental office does spend on supplies?
5 to 7% is the recommended accounting number. So we're going to see practices that go above that, but if you're in the 5 to 7% range, you're doing something right.
And how big of a range have you seen it? I mean, what's the lowest and what's the highest?
The lowest is about 4%, the highest about 11, 12. If you're spending more than that, something's definitely wrong.
So lowest you've seen is 4%,
yeah.
And the highest is what?
About 11.
How the hell do you get your supplies to 11%?
Listen, you got to spend a lot of money, and there's a lot of waste.
Well, whenever I see outside the range, it's because dentistry is, we were talking in the earlier show how dental success is a little more taboo in Canada and the South, even Glenn in Vancouver with the lasers, Glenn Vaughn, he's always saying that too. We don't even, because of that taboo, we don't even have dentistry doesn't even have a chart of accounts. I mean, the American Dental Association has been out since 1858. And the United States is one of the largest economies in the world. So, before 1900, they had an accounting chart of accounts, right? And we still don't have one. So I look at supplies like, say I know you're an implant guy. So if you buy all your implants and you put that in supplies, it goes crazy. Because should it be in the lab bill? Well, it could be in your mom's garage if we all agreed on it. And it's so sad because you see people sitting around at a study club and some old man saying, yeah, my overhead, it's been under 50% per year. Shut up, Sam. You own your land and building. You paid everything off. You don't even document this as an asset. You don't pay yourself cost of capital. You should be renting it to my last name Ferran, backwards is Naraf. I own it by NARAF, but I rent it to Today's Dental for, and I'm not going to charge cost capital. What is it, free? I mean, I could sell my land and building for $1 million, put it in a risk-free bond rate. I mean, so the accounting is just insane. And so the long term, we switched to Open Dental, and now we're trying to get, the people at Quicken and to make bridges. So the dentist, when you said 11%, first thing I thought, okay, that's the guy probably places 500 implants a year and puts them all under dental supplies. So it's really tough. So remember, whenever a doctor is telling you what their numbers are, he couldn't find his ass with both hands. Okay,
that's for sure.
So basically, so if the average dental practice is collecting 600,000 a year and the average spend on supplies is 5 to 7%, continue.
So that brings us to $30,000 to about $40,000 of supply spent, and assume savings of in the range of 20 to 30% on that. So you're going to be saving anywhere between $6,000 and $8,000 on your supplies per year. So that's net into your pocket as a dentist.
6,000 to 8,000 a year. That's a lot of whiskey, isn't it?
That's some good whiskey.
So 2 years. What was it? This pandemic? Did it help? Did it hurt? Did it? There's some silver linings. They had a bunch of.
Honestly, I was like mortified when this happened. I'm like, oh my god, this is like the worst timing. We having a good streak, and what saved us is really the fact that masks were so hard to find. So people started looking at different platforms. How can we find masks? And our search for masks went up like 500, 1,000% certain months. And people were just trying to compare, where can I find a mask? How much is it costing? Because we've seen these prices of masks go from surgical masks costing, give or take, $14 a box to $50, $60, $70, depending on the suppliers you're looking at, which was insane. So being able to, I think a lot of dentists just appreciated being able to see which supplier has normal prices and who has inventory. Because at one point, nobody had inventory. It was impossible to find. So really, it helped us, and we got a lot of signups during COVID. So fortunately for us, it was really a turn of events we weren't expecting.
Wow. And so why is it held up in Canada? I mean, still, why didn't you launch first in Montreal where all your friends and neighbors and family were?
Uh, Listen, it's really, America is the bigger country. It really came down to that. We have about 25,000 dentists in Canada. We got a couple more in America, and obviously corporate practices are also one of the areas where it's much more easier, and our product kind of fits into group practices very well. So for us, it was a no-brainer. We were going to start in America, and we were going to expand. And we haven't even spent a dollar of marketing so far. It's all been word of mouth, and we're seeing people are adopting us, and they're loving the platform, and it's helping them on several ways.
I guess where my walnut brain tripped and fell down is I figured if it's an online thing, anybody could buy from
So
anywhere, Brazil, China, Australia. That's what I
yeah,
was thinking. It's the internet.
the hardest part is what's under the hood, right?
Oh,
Because
okay.
you need to directly integrate with your supplier. So basically, if you have an account and your account's Howard Ferran, you go online, and let's say you already have preferred pricing from Henry Schein or whoever, like this price will be reflected in your Dentira account when you're looking, which was technically extremely hard to do. And that's the reason why we decided to start with America, because if we start doing that in every country, it's very time consuming, so we had to focus on the bigger market.
Okay, well, if you were on Shark Tank, and did you ever consider going on a Shark Tank?
I love
Um,
that.
the smartest guy on Shark Tank is absolutely Mr. Wonderful. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's always. Have you always noticed? It's always
And
the bald guy in
guess
any
what,
room.
he's Canadian, right?
Oh yes, and I love him. I just love to death because he's so brutal. So I'm gonna Shark Tank you. I'm gonna Mr. Wonderful you. He would say, "Come on, what are you talking about? There's hundreds of these. There's One Source Dental. There's my gosh, there's so many supply clubs. What's the one that she asked on that thread? She said, "What is the difference between that and what did she say? Zen Supplies. So there's two for you: Zen Supplies, and the other one is Source One Dental.
Yeah.
But the Nachos study. The Nachos have a. Yeah, I've podcasted 4 or 5 guys like you that did this. So the first thing they're gonna say is there's a lot of people in that space. What's unique about you versus Source One Dental or what was the other one I said? Um, yeah. What was the other one?
Zen supplies.
Yeah, Zen Supplies. So
So
what was and how many? Well, first of all, I want to see if you agree. I mean, how many are there right now? How many dental supply groups are there out there?
give or take 3 or 4 right now.
Oh, that's all. That's all.
That's all.
Okay, then
Yeah.
I,
So
I must
it's
have I
still
must have podcasted all of them then.
you definitely have. Yeah, it's a bear market. So the main difference is right now all of these guys, they need an invoice to be able to pull your pricing, and uh, they can only price compare the existing items that you've already purchased. So basically, if you want to like narrow it down, they have people calling and getting pricing on a daily basis. They're not integrated with the supplier. We're pulling our prices directly from the Pattersons, the Shines, the Darbys. So we are connected through your account with the supplier, and we pull your specific pricing. Again, if you're getting discounts, volume discounts, because you're a gold member with Shine and you're getting 15% on your supplies, that price will be reflected in the price search that you will get. So you're not only getting a price for the products you've already purchased, you can compare anything once your account is open. And nobody is doing that right now. It's what they're doing is extremely labor intensive for them. It's not giving you an accurate picture when you're shopping around, and it's really limited to a specific set of items. So what's
So
under
so
the
is it so
totally
is it so would Mr. Wonderful say, okay, so you're integrated with your suppliers and
yeah.
they're not digitally
They're,
integrated
they're,
with
they're
their?
they're basically on the phone and they're calling them and they're saying, hey guys, what's the price for composite today? What's the price for cotton rolls today? What's the price for PVS impression material today? And they're working hard to get these prices. And these prices, you're a dentist, they can change almost on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. You call one week there's a discount, next week there's no discount. And whatever promotions are going on, let's say there's a 4+1 from a supplier like 3M, well, we're going to have that reflected in your pricing automatically too. So transparent price information, we have more information than any other company doing this right now. And
Okay, so that's how the other ones work. That you said there was 4: Zen Supplies, Source One Dental. What were the other 2?
I don't have their names on top of my head. I'll let you find these guys.
Okay, that's okay. But that's the main
Yeah.
unique selling proposition to that.
Well, it's the main. Well, it's total. Again, you're looking at a way of comparing prices. One way that's fully transparent. What we're doing, you're pulling all the prices across the board, and the other one where you're only getting select prices. So whatever's working for them instead of having the total picture. So it's really different the way things are working, and we're helping users by offering smart analytics. So basically, we're pulling reports on your purchasing history. We're sending you related search items. So meaning if you're looking, let's say, for a brand name product, we'll offer you the option of buying a house brand that may be cheaper. So you're able to immediately save on this product by simply switching from name brand to house brand. Our smart reporting is going to help you track your spending so you can limit your budget on inventory spend. And you can say, listen, I want to get to my 5%. And the software will automatically limit your purchase to that 5%. So you stay on track with your objectives. So it's the whole platform that's working to make inventory management much more easy for you, and not just the price comparison. The price comparison is, yes, the main attribute of this whole thing, but we're offering a whole ecosystem of management where you're going to be able to save time, not get mistakes. We don't process payment for you. We don't store your credit card information. We don't take care of the shipping. We're really just a little transparent layer between you and your supplier that makes things a lot more easy and a lot more simple.
And so then the next question that I always wonder is, when you want to extend that relationship just to direct. So I mean, instead of going through a middleman like a distributor, like a Patterson, Shine, Benco, Burkhart, just go straight to the 3M, the Dentsply, Sirona. Why don't you bypass all them? And by the way, if there's any channel conflict in anything what I'm saying, by the way, guys, I try to explain this to you all the time because a lot of times the comments in the YouTube, they'll say, why didn't you ask this? Or they'll email me, howard@dentaltown.com, and say, well, why didn't you say that? Because, I mean, it'd be like me asking you, oh, that patient you put that implants on the other day, do you think she lost all of her teeth because she smoked? I mean, it's kind of weird. But anyway, but why have you not disintermediated the middleman and gone straight to the manufacturer?
Yeah, so obviously there's costs related to doing that. Other than, you have to understand, if you're going to buy from 3M directly, 3M has specific ways that their material needs to be handled and stored. So you're talking about getting storage throughout America, having to take care of the distribution channel afterwards. So it's totally different ballgame where basically we become a direct distributor, but the warehousing is a nightmare, and I don't think it's somewhere where we'd like to go right now. I think the relationship between reps, distributors, and dentists are going to change, but they already have all this facility to make it very easy to order things and to make it very quick. As dentists, we need things to come the next day. You can't wait for your delivery to happen in 3 weeks. Most dentists, they have an implant tomorrow. They don't even know about it. They wake up in the morning, like, let me check my schedule tomorrow. Oh, wow, I have an implant. Let me order that implant. If it's not there in 24 hours, I have to cancel my surgery. So it's, so we didn't want to get into that game of having warehousing and distribution issues.
And a lot of just to keep the terminology the same, do you consider yourself a buyer's club? I mean, there's is this a
Uh,
is Dentira
no,
a dental supply buying club?
no, we're not a buying club. So a buying club would basically mean that you need to hit a minimum to be able to make an order at a discount price. There's no minimum when you're purchasing. We're basically offering you the ability to know uh, what every distributor supplier is charging for this product that you're looking for at a glimpse of an eye. So you're able to right away know, oh man, I've been ordering my lidocaine for $70, and this company has it for 50. Well, what do you care who gives it to you? It doesn't change anything. Buy it the cheapest you can, so you can get it delivered to you instantly, and you're saving money. So we're not a buyer's club in that sense.
I always tell companies, I said, if this is a business no brainer, talk to the DSOs first. They get that, and because if you talk to a dentist first, a lot of times your theory might tread on their religious, emotional thoughts of dentistry or whatever. So as when you said you had 4,000 offices across the United States, is a lot of that group practice, DSOs, people doing business first, and does a DSO eventually get so big that they bring what you're doing in house at like 500 offices and beyond, or something like that?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're seeing right now. So we're seeing DSOs being interested in our product right now. We're in talks with several of them. But our product is really aimed at two categories of people. We're aimed at the single practice dentist, the fee for service practice, so the practice that's alone somewhere in suburbs, and they're not getting any volume discount. They're paying full price for everything just because they didn't hit that threshold of revenue that's significant enough for a dental supplier to give them a discount, and they keep paying full price on everything, and they're easily going to save money and time with us. And then there's that second target for us, which is basically group practices, where group practices, because they become so big, they start to be inefficient, and they need to develop efficiencies and systems that work, that make it a lot more easy and predictable to order supplies. In the 21st century, we're in the era of convenience and time saving. Time is our most costly commodity, and what we're trying to do is help people get more of that.
You said something very interesting that's kind of like I wasn't expecting. You said group practices get so big they get inefficient. Most of all my homies that have, listening, they're one dentist in one office, and they just think the big groups are just far more efficient and they do everything so much better. And that's not what you just said. You said group practices get so inefficient. What did you mean by that?
Well, we're seeing it, and even us, Michael and me, we own 5 practices, and it's not a perfect machine. DSOs are not perfect machines. Group practices where you have 5, 6 dentists aren't that perfectly oiled machine that you think that they are. The more people, the more problems, and you're going to have more HR problems, which are going to lead to more lead time problems, more issues with, did somebody check lab? Is the lab in? Did my crown come in on time? Is my Invisalign case in? And you're seeing these problems where you could have micromanaged at a smaller level and taken care of it. And when it gets too big, it becomes harder to do that. So you need to implement systems to be able to avoid all these issues. You need to be able to have an oversight of everything that's going on, but you need to trust that person under you that they're going to do their job. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Does the pandemic change anything? Because the trade off to a virtual relationship would be the equipment and maintenance. Your compressor goes down, so you're thinking,
Yeah.
well, if I'm not buying all my stuff from Benco, then the Benco lady's not going to send her mechanic out here and fix my air compressor down or something. Do you see what are the trade offs of one doctor buying everything online
Yeah.
from you, and your website is uh, Dentira.com.
But you,
DEN. What's that?
no, go ahead. Dentira.
Oh, I just realized there's a Terra in there. Is that your logo? Is it going to be a tooth with a Terra, wearing a Terra? Do you know what a Terra is?
It's a small hat.
Yeah, your daughter's gonna let you know all about it in another
Oh,
few years.
a tiara.
Oh, is that my saying it wrong? A tiara?
In Canada, we say it differently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, tiara. Um, so what's the so is there any of that going on into the pandemic? Like, oh, I got to get all this stuff for COVID. I'm trying to get air filters and UV lights and all this stuff. So the dentist that bought everything from Dentira might be less advantaged than someone who bought all of the stuff from supply with a physical rep or anything like that.
Well, not really, because I mean, you pay for the service you're getting at your office. I mean, you pay for that maintenance. It doesn't come free because you're ordering whatever amount you're ordering, right? You have a service contract with whatever supplier you're dealing with, and they'll send a rep, and they have a maintenance contract with you, which is whatever 6 visits per year, 6 emergency visits, and nothing is free in this world, and you're gonna keep doing the service. But what we're seeing is, the question you got to ask yourself is, do you need to pay the rep a premium because you're ordering cotton rolls? Is that a product where the rep helped you in that decision, and he was essential in that transaction? And I think there's ways of cutting inefficiencies there and being able to tag along these savings to the dentists that are already working hard. We're already seeing PPO fees that are reducing, margins that are squeezed, dentists that are taking pay cuts, and we're dentists living the same struggle that everybody else is, and we're seeing that it becomes annoying at one point to realize that you're always on the losing end. Everybody's making more money. The suppliers are making more money. The manufacturers are making more money. And then everybody's telling dentists, well, you guys take a pay cut, Delta is not going to pay you as much for your filling anymore. We just cut you by $10. We haven't increased our fees in the past 5 years. So I don't see downside in terms of having damaged the relationship with the company themselves. Because at the end, again, Dentira, we're not processing the transaction. We don't have a warehouse. We're not selling anything. We're basically that layer that lets you purchase from your supplier of choice. You're just buying it from somebody possibly different, and you're saving money along the way. And nothing's stopping you from saying at the end of the year, hey, I'm going to pull my report from Dentira. Here's everything I've spent per product, per category, the total amount. And you call your best friend, the rep, and you tell them, hey, this is how much I'm spending. Can you give me a better price? And that price is going to be, again, in your Dentira contract for next year, and you'll be able to renegotiate the following year. So we're just giving people tools to be able to better, I think, understand their spending habits, understand where that money is going, and how they can save some money along the way.
Are you just dental supplies, or are you also equipment?
Yeah, so for now we're really dental supplies. We're looking into equipment. It is a different animal, but for now we're only doing dental supplies.
So is there? I always thought there was when I talk about a space, I mean when some entropy is the opposite of order, and so there's all the entropy of more variables. Like you said, as a corporation gets bigger, you get more dentists. There's more entropy. There's more variables. But I always was surprised that there's not an online network of all these X people that can do dental equipment installation, repair, maintenance. It just seems like there's so many people who have done 5 years at Patterson Shine Benco, but now they're plumbers, electricians, they're in heating and air, they're welders. And I always thought for emergency situations, it'd be awesome. I tried to add that feature to Dental Town back in '98, that have you ever thought of creating a network of people that can, do equipment?
You're asking us, are we going to create an Uber for dental services?
For equipment installation, repair. I mean, America. I mean, if the reason it's losing, 50 million jobs since I graduated from high school from 1980 to 2020. I don't even want to go there. I don't, I'm supposed to talk about religion, sex, politics, or violence. But now it's left a country where no one works with their hands. Everybody sits at a desk. You look at these help wanted ads. They're offering $80,000 a year for junior welders. And the reality is that no one in America with welding. Well, is that an app? How do I download welding? It's just harder and harder and harder to find some guy then come out and take out your air compressor or fix it on a weekend. But are you going to do that? An Uber for dental equipment maintenance
It
installation?
might be a great idea for somebody listening in on the podcast. Who knows? It's like Mark Zuckerberg. He said he wanted to get a smarter lamp, and he said he created the whole idea. He posted it on Twitter, and somebody who was following his Twitter actually invented his famous lamp that had this like light turning on slowly, so he would wake up and he wouldn't be pulled out of a dream. So who knows, man? Right now, we're not looking into that. I'm not sure. I think it would dilute the platform too much. We'd be doing too many things at once. And like you said, I mean, if you can't find people to do the job, even if you're offering it, who's going to go do it? If you're in Midwest America and there's no welder, even if you put in a job app on, if you request somebody to do the job, but there's nobody available, then you're not going to get anybody, and you get unsatisfied customers. So it's a problem that I think suppliers are going to have to meet, or maybe equipment's going to have to be more reliable. We're not going to have equipment breaking as much anymore. But no, it's not something we're looking into.
So you have 5 offices. How many dentists do you have?
We have 15 associates across all.
So what I hear regarding dental supplies is, I mean, dentistry, you work with your hands. I mean, we're old school. We're all surgeons. They even call it an operatory. I mean, 90% of MDs, we have 1 million MDs in the country, and 9 in 10 are not going to do a surgery this year. They just sit there with pieces of paper and all that kind of stuff. And in fact, my physician, I mean, I can't believe how fast he types. He just sits there with an iPad. And the whole time we're talking, I'm just amazed at what he's doing on that thing. But he couldn't put a scalpel to you if he had to. When you're looking at dentists, when you work with your hands, it's serious stuff. And when you go to group practice, burrs is the most insane. I mean, I can tell you how many DSO captains say we lost the best dentist we had in Iowa because they refused. They said, no, we're going to limit each doctor to 5 burrs. And the minute he found out, he just took his gloves off and walked out of the room. Gloves, I mean, I'm not going to do a molar root canal is hard enough without some damn glove that doesn't fit. And I admit I am the craziest burr psychotic nut job in dentistry. I mean, sometimes I'll use 15 burrs on something ridiculously easy like an MOD. So a large, when you look at that variance of dental supplies, you say it should be 5 to 7%. Is a lot of the high supplies also because Dr. Crazy Artist III needs 9 burrs to drill an occlusal? And when you have those 15 doctors, I mean, what's the chance that you could get all 15 of your docs to say, okay, we're only going to use this brand of gloves and bonding agent?
So it's a good question. And honestly, I had the same reflection when I was working for John Lyons. And funnily,
we're back to John again.
We're back to John. Funny enough, when I started working for John, these guys were organizational freaks. When you're talking about having 5 burrs, these guys have 5 burrs to work with. Like I would do molar root canals, and they would be like, well, you don't need a 6 and an 8 file because we do it with the number 10 file. So you figure it out and you do it with the number 10 file. And I'm like, well, yeah, but guys, if I need a 6 and an 8 file, I'm going to use it. I mean, that's what I want. But being in those shoes and having worked that way, I realized that, there are some things dentists need to be happy, but having a say into everything is not the way to go. So I totally agree with you. Dentists should have whatever burrs they want. It's like they want 20 burrs, have 20 burrs. It doesn't matter. Buy as many burrs as you want. I totally agree with that way of thinking because I understand some people like a 1558, some people want a 245 diamond, some people want another type of burr, whatever. Do whatever makes you happy. Bonding agents, though, on the other hand, I think we can all agree to use the same bonding agents, and that's what we're doing in our office. We're not skimping and we're not using cheap bonding agents. We're using 3M single bond right now, universal. And we adapted our way of working where we show dentists, this is how we're efficient doing what we're doing. If you want to get to our level of being able to work, well, take note, shadow us, and we'll teach you and we'll get you there. And in response to your question, is one of the expenses of an office really because there's so much variety in what you're purchasing? Well, you would still save money using our platform, because you're still going to save that 20% if you find a supplier that's cheaper for whatever you're using. If you want to then narrow it down and have a lean philosophy in what you're working and really limit whatever you're ordering, then yeah, that's another way of saving. But that's really down to a management philosophy rather than real work.
There was a guy at UMKC, one of the best teachers we had down there. His name was Matthias Horgan, and he was an oral surgeon, and he lectured all around the country while we were in dental school. And unfortunately, when he served in Korea before dental school, they only gave him a 150, a 151, a large and small elevator, and he's total military brat. So in the oral surgery department, Charlie White and Brett Ferguson, they'd let you try all these different forceps, but man, was Matt, you'd always have to hear the 20-minute lecture about how he pulled every single tooth in Korea with 4 instruments. And so I could see that guy having like a 1% dental supply bill, and you just walk into every room and there's a small, large elevator. But it was great because
if you could do it with a spoon, do it with a spoon,
And it was great because I don't even like to say this on air because people will think I'm crazy, but I can remove almost every tooth with a small elevator. It's just.
I agree with that. I don't need one elevator. I have a spade elevator, and I do anything with that thing.
Honestly. Yeah. The kids will bring 7 forceps to the room, but the old dogs are like, give me a small elevator, and that should be good. Getting people. Do you think that it's safe to say on that 5 to 7% range? We'll call that standard deviation 1. We'll say standard deviation 1 6.5% is 5 to 7%, and standard deviation 2 would be 4 to 11%. Do you think they could get from the 7% to the 5% if they all agreed on more, not just the price where you're giving them a better price, but also the less skew items?
For sure. There's some ways, and there's some. It hinders your cash flow. I think basically, if you're hoarding more inventory, it's hurting your cash flow. And all businesses today are looking into how can they have more cash flow in their pockets. So you want to be able to order less but more frequently, and that's what we're seeing people do. Is dentists don't want to go to a trade show anymore, and they go to a trade show and this rep is putting pressure on you, and he's like, okay, guys, you have 3 days to order from me, and for 3 days, I'm going to give you 10-15% discount and order for the next year. And a lot of dentists are like, fine, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm going to save money, and I'm going to hoard for a year. I'm going to sit on all this inventory like a dragon. But then what you realize is, they're just wasting cash flow. A lot of these things are going to waste. They're expiring, these products. And then you call back your rep, and you're telling him, hey, buddy, by the way, I bought $10,000 worth of composite from you, and this composite is now expired. Could you trade it up for me? And he's like, yeah, sure, just buy more, and I'll replace the one that's expired. So the philosophy of buying is shifting. We don't see people sitting on inventory as much as we used to, and that'll definitely bring the cost down in terms of your inventory.
I can't believe we've already gone over an hour, so now I can start asking you some questions, or you say, no, I don't want I don't want to do that. You don't have to answer this because I totally understand channel conflict, but in the United States, there was a huge FTC lawsuit against the 3 biggest dental suppliers. And of course, they're all innocent and all that kind of stuff. But I noticed they all gave them huge amounts of money. Like if you say I stole your car and I said I absolutely did not steal your car, but here's $10,000, just go away. But anyway, is there any? Can you comment on any of that big deal, that big lawsuit, or your thoughts?
Listen.
I'll just say for the record. I mean, come on, it was on CNBC. It was a big news story. I mean, it's not like I can't believe Howard said that on Dental Town. I mean, or on this deal. I mean, hell, it was the FTC Gov. FTC sues dental products distributors for alleged conspiracy not to provide discounts to a customer segment. Complaint names. This is on the FTC site. I'm at ftc.gov/news events. I mean, so this was a huge deal, and this is in your space. So go ahead, piss off all your friends and tell me what you think of this.
Well, the good news is I'm Canadian, so I'm a country away. But listen, honestly, there's not much to be said. Again, we're not in bed with a specific supplier, so it's not, whatever their practices are. On the other hand, you're talking about the three big ones, but there's 17 other ones also available that are giving pricing that is similar or cheaper, and it fluctuates based on whatever product you're buying. So in this space, I think what I've realized is dentists often we get the short end of the stick, and it's unfortunate. We work a lot, we see a lot of patients, spend a lot of money. We're ready to redo things for free because we love our patients, we want the best outcome from them, but we always end up getting the short end of the stick, and that's just another situation where it happened.
Yeah, and here's the deal. It says on the FTC site, Benco and Shine allegedly refused to provide discounts to compete for the businesses of buying groups. Well, first of all, why the hell do they have to do anything? I still, when I go back and I look at all the robber barons, back with who's the biggest one? Of Standard Oil, Rockefellers, all that kind of stuff. My God, the price of it started out with kerosene when that was the first thing you sell, just for lighting in the house, and then it turned into gasoline, and then they bought chemists and kerosene. But the price just plummeted all the way down. It was the biggest growth segment of America. Then here comes the mob, the useless government he has to shake you down for money and power and control. I've never had any respect for these guys in any way, shape, or form. I've always been a registered libertarian, but they didn't show me what they did wrong. And then when they broke everything up, it definitely, you could only measure one thing, and that was the decrease of efficiencies and the rising again of the price. They broke up Standard Oil into all these different companies, and then over the next 50 years, they all remerged and came back together. And for the government to say that someone else is doing something wrong is comical. I mean, that like the devil showing up at your house and telling you that, feeding your kid candy was evil. I mean, so these are the worst elements of society, the government. And so for them to enter into this deal, I still can't believe it. I mean, it says, right on their site, Benco and Henry Schein allegedly entered into agreement refusing to provide discounts for the businesses of buying groups. Well, why don't the FTC just come in and tell my office I have to take Medicaid? And that's the only reason I won't take Medicaid. Because if I have 50 employees. Well, some of them might be batshit crazy. They might send in a form incorrectly. And if it goes to Delta Dental and it comes across Alan Alaford's desk at Delta, he's just going to be a businessman and call me out and say, hey, we got a problem here and we'll figure it out. But if it's Medicaid, hell, they're going to send out their thugs. They're going to arrest me, kidnap me, take me before a judge, put me in a cage. I've podcasted people that have gone to jail for years for a Medicaid. I had a personal friend who got divorced, got remarried, and of course he married her resume was she was just gorgeous, and of course she wanted to run the front office. Anyway, long story short, she screws up all the Medicaid billing, and he doesn't know it. And then when they finally cracked down on it, the judge, the attorney said, look, the best I'm going to be able to do for you is probably 5 years if you please. He's 5 years? I mean, he was like 67 or something. So he left and went to Mexico, became a dentist in Mexico, and just died last year there at like 80. It's like he had to go to Mexico because some chick he was, hanging out with was billing wrong. I mean, you just don't do business with people who routinely use kidnapping, torture, and killing and shooting.
Yeah, it's like
that's the mob
crimes, right? It's the same thing.
What's that?
It's like white collar crimes. People are gonna go and through a financial institution rob billions of dollars, and they're gonna go to jail for maybe like 2 years, if anything. And then you have this guy who's stealing milk to feed his family, and they're gonna send him out 10 years in prison.
Yeah, and when you look at the conviction rate, if you're poor in America, the conviction rate for all the drug offenses like 98.5%.
Yeah.
Like, come on, 98.5%. Why do you even waste your time? Why didn't you just do that? But anyway, I don't want to get on government, religion, sex, or politics. But anyway, so I can't believe we went over an hour. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about today that regarding Dentira that I didn't talk about or bring up or whatever?
Listen, I think we've covered everything, and yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh no, you're not free yet. Then I just want to switch to. This is a perfect opportunity. You got 5 offices in Montreal in the middle of a pandemic, and everybody listens want to know, like, did you move to negative air pressure rooms, air filters? How are you surviving the pandemic? What did you change? What did you change in your protocol? And let's talk about pandemic. And also, the data just came out again yesterday from the ADA, Vucicek, where it's basically, it looks like the dental market has, when it rebounded, we were closed down. I had to close from St. Patrick's Day to Cinco de Mayo, and then when they opened back up America, it ramped up fast. But it looks like it is completely leveled off at about 71% for 2-week periods in a row. Is that where you're at now? Are your 5 offices in Montreal about 70%?
What's 71% the revenue?
Yeah, to pre-pandemic levels of same quarter over quarter.
No, we're actually seeing better than that. So we're looking. So we got shut down on the 15th of March, and we were back in business on the 1st of June. The requirements we had were basically to have N95 or KN95 equivalent masks during procedures that were producing aerosols. We needed to get HEPA grade filters in every op close to aerosol production, and we needed to have closed off rooms, basically not sealed with a door, but you could have had just like a clear screen closing off your room. That would have been enough. We had to use basically coats over and switch them in between patients. And that's what we did. We went out, we bought coats for all of our staff. We wasted thousands of dollars on that. We bought HEPA filters. Here in Canada, they weren't asking for medical grade HEPA filters, just regular HEPA filters. So they sent us this big complicated math equation of how much CFM you need. And we spent tens of thousands of dollars on HEPA filters because across all offices we have over 30 dental chairs, so we needed over 30 HEPA filters. And yeah, we got back into the gist of everything. Hygienists were crying. The team was bawling. Nobody wanted to go back to work. And
were they seriously crying? Seriously crying?
Yeah, I had hygienists call me and on the phone, and they were breaking down, and they're like, listen, I don't want to go back to work. My kids, my family, my nephews, my nieces, whatever. And I'm like, listen, I totally understand how you're feeling. If you don't want to go back to work, nobody's going to force you to go back to work right now. What I suggest is, if you want, go into work, see the measures that were put into place. If you want, bring a family member, do a free cleaning, and just have a feel for how things are going at the office. My perspective on things is there's been no cases that have been singled out to a dental practice right now where transmission had occurred in a dental practice. We're exceptional in dealing with transmission of disease in a dental practice. We're used to wearing masks. We're used to wearing gloves. We have great sterilization protocols. So I wasn't afraid per se. And slowly everybody got back to work. And honestly, for most offices, June was a record high of all time, which is crazy to say, but people came back really strong. And we were spacing out appointments, but the books were so full of hygiene recalls that were late. And I think everybody had serious FOMO issues. So they were like, okay, I need to get all my treatments done. And just in the month of June, we were seeing almost 55, 60 Invisalign starts in 1 month. So people were coming in and they're like, we need to get this done ASAP because we don't know when it's going to close again. So, honestly, we're back almost 100% to pre-COVID levels.
Yeah, when I started hearing people saying, they didn't want to come back to work, I was always like, really? You made it to 35 years old without realizing that you didn't want to go to work? You haven't realized that that's just one of those damn things you have to do in life? And what's, economic incentives matter. And when the United States, if you want more of something, subsidize it. If you want less of something, tax it. And that $600 a week unemployment, I mean, who would want to go to work 40 hours a week to make 500 a week if you can stay home with your kids at 600 a week and watch Netflix and all that stuff like that? And now Congress, as we speak, they're up in Washington D.C. Ready to spend another $1 trillion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dentists. Who've asked me, do you think they'll ever be able to repay that money? And I just want to give you a technical shout out because I do have an MBA. Is that, remember, the United States mob, they counterfeit their own money. So, of course, if they borrow $1 trillion, they can pay it back because they own the printing press. You compare it to all these things about the Asian disasters and the Venezuela and all these devaluations. Those are other countries who are borrowing the money from you, and they have to pay it back in your money, and they don't have a dollar machine printing press. So there's no question that if you have a counterfeiting machine, you can keep it turned on and keep counterfeiting. I mean, technically, they couldn't even run out of paper. It's all digital transactions now. So, yeah, the United States could borrow $100 trillion. That's not the question. The question is, what will those pieces of paper be worth when you go to pay it back? And so that's why historically you always want to be on the same side as the government. So when the governments were stockpiling gold and silver, that was your best bet. When they're stockpiling $19 trillion in debt, and the 20 richest countries, yours included, around the world, $40 trillion in debt, that is why the days of banking, where if you put $1 in the bank, they would pay you a nickel a year to perpetuity. And then if you wanted to borrow money, it was just a flat 10% a year. It was always a utility. I put $1 in, you give me a nickel a year. I borrow $1, I pay you a dime a year. Ever since the Fed got involved, it's just been a political shit show since day one. So now they're going to go spend another trillion pieces of paper. They don't realize that when they say, oh, this money ends up in the stock market, that's why the stocks are going up. Dude, it's not that paper going into the stock market making stocks go up. It's making people realize around the world that that piece of paper is just a piece of paper. They'd rather own a piece of paper of a share of a company than a piece of paper that says United States of America on it. I mean, it's just a complete, but there were a lot of disasters during World Wars too. I'd rather have all these disasters being attacked by a virus than have a whole different set of disasters being attacked by my fellow human being. So I'll take this shit show anyway. But
Well, that's what everybody's calling for, like a currency crisis that's going to come eventually. If you keep printing this money, what is this money actually worth? And that's why interest rates are likely never going to go up again. Imagine if we hit levels of 7, 8, 9, 10% interest rates on mortgages, nobody would ever be able to pay that again. Well, anyways, we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. I think it's going to be very, very interesting economically where all of this is headed. Because we're spending a lot of money, but at the end of the day, we need to refund that money. That money is the people's money. So you can't. I don't think they can keep printing unlimited, even if they own the machine. At one point, somebody's going to ask them, well, what is your money worth across the world? And it might hurt America. It might hurt the whole world.
yeah, my God, these are crazy times. So let me just ask the final question like this: if you had to put all your time, money, and resources right now, would you put it in? And let's say you were the sole owner, 100% of your 5 dental offices and Dentira. I don't even know if that's true or whatever. But if it was, you're the sole owner of your dental company and Dentira, and you could only pick one. Which one do you think has a better long-term prospects right as of right now?
It's tough. It's a tough question. Honestly, I'm a dentist at heart. I love dentistry, I think, more than anything. But if you ask me honestly, I think Dentira has a better prospect than my very safe dental company.
Wow. Well, then, will you be adjusting accordingly and putting more time in Dentira than in your dental offices?
I have more than 24 hours in a day, so I have enough time to spare.
Yeah, and another thing I have to remind you, because I went through this for decades, is you look at someone like Rick Workman that has 1,000 offices. He hasn't seen a patient in 20 years. The other Rick, Rick Work Comfort Dental, that Rick, he hadn't seen a patient in 20 years. Stephen Thorne has 500 offices. Hell, he didn't even go to dental school. His dad was a dentist. So it's very stressful when you love to do something, but if someone else can do your job for 25% of the fee, you're not going to scale. You're never going to scale. Do you want to push a lawnmower all day, every day, the rest of your life? Or do you want to set up 5 lawn mowing teams with a guy with a lawnmower, a weed eater, and a blower and all that? So there's no leverage or scale in working with your own hands by yourself. And the only reason I didn't sell my dental office today's dental is because then I'd have to go to my house and put in an operatory and an air compressor. And it just becomes such a... It just because, the maintenance and all that baloney. Not to mention the fact that when I walk in my dental office, I don't know how to turn anything on. And in fact, I once had a nightmare. This is a true story that some policeman had an emergency. I met him after hours, and I couldn't turn anything on. I couldn't find anything. And after he's watched me for about 10 minutes, he realized that I'm not a dentist, and it's not really my dental office. And I'm telling you, so it's tough when you realize everything I'm doing for fun, someone else could do for 25% of the fee, and then you go on to work on things that are scalable. And so the the DSOs, I always tell people, if you really want to make it in a DSO, then why are you? I'm looking at your schedule, and 8 to 5, you're doing a bunch of fillings, crowns, endo for 8 hours, and you have 3 offices, and you have problems all over these offices. There's all these fires that need to be put out, and you're doing a crown on a 6-year molar that a dental kindergartner that just graduated a month ago could do it for 25% of the fee. So did you wrestle with that as a personal deal about getting a clean divorce from clinical dentistry and just go full-time trying to manage 5 offices and Dentira?
Yeah, I do, honestly, and it's hard because I don't want to stop doing dentistry. But I've learned to be more efficient. Meaning like we have so many ways today of saving time, of doing other things, and I have a lot of my friends are always asking me like, how are you dealing with having 5 offices? I'm an associate dentist. I don't even have enough time in a day to work, and you have 5 offices to manage, 15 dentists, 60 staff. How are you doing it? And honestly, it really comes down to systems and being able to establish things that just repeat themselves. So office managers, systems of how to answer calls. I can't spend my time explaining to every secretary I hire how to answer a call, how to deal with it. But I can show one of them to do it, and she can then show it to everybody else. So it's I don't see myself stopping dentistry anytime soon, just because I love it. I think I'm doing it at an interesting level, and I would like eventually to start possibly teaching, offering mentorship, or offering CE. But I do see myself reducing, and really, it's really not about the money. It's really, I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, but
Yep.
it's at one point you can chase all the money in the world, but you got to do what makes you happy. And it makes me happy to see patients, and I wouldn't stop. Even if you tell me, listen, the trade-off is you're going to make $1 million more per year, and then what? What am I going to do with that money? So it's
Well,
really
it's very hard to be happy because almost everything I want to do is illegal. So it's just maybe I'm in the wrong country. Final question. I should have spent more time on the 5 offices because that's a whole podcast in itself. Most DSOs will tell me that the number one biggest problem in group practice, DSOs, and by the way, Arizona is the only state in the United States that reciprocates with any dental license anywhere. So if you're a dentist in Florida, you can come to Arizona. That's why Arizona, and that is the fundamental pinnings of why Arizona has 18% DSOs. 18% of the dentists work for DSOs. It's the highest in the country. All that kind of stuff. But everybody tells me the number one problem is dentist associate turnover.
Yeah.
That's not and finding money to scale to get new locations. That's like not even a problem. But dentist associate turnover. Do you concur that finding the dentist to be employee dentist is the hardest element in DSOs?
Yes, definitely. And I think, I've had this question asked to me before, is like, where do you stand? Like, are you a DSO? You have 5 practices? Are you privately owned, dental clinic? Or you consider yourself? And I told them, we're somewhere in between, because the offer proposition from a DSO is basically, we will get you a ton of patients and you work. You be a workhorse and you just grind it out until you can grind no more. And it's a good proposition when you need to get your feet wet, when you don't have any experience, and you need to build that trust, because you might not have it initially when you graduate or you're a young dentist. And it sounds very appealing. And listen, I'm the first. I did it. When I graduated, I worked for John Lyons and Jean Michel, who were great dentists, but that's what they gave me. And I learned so much being there, because they do have good things that you can learn. And if you open your eyes and you're working in that office where you have multiple providers, different treatments that are offered, you can pick up things and you can learn very quickly. But the problem is, usually as a dentist, most dentists will mature out of that grinding habit. They're going to want to do more high value treatments. They're going to want to have more satisfaction from their work. And we're seeing that DSOs that don't offer mentorship, they don't offer support to their dentists, is basically why dentists are quitting. They're not happy doing what they do, so they move on to something better, and that's why DSOs have all that turnover.
Yeah. Interesting times. Hey, it was really an honor to have you come on the show. You should come back with John Lyons, or at least send John Lyons back. Really, because if he's winding down, I mean, I would love to have John on. I just love that guy to death.
Come up to Montreal and we'll do a live podcast in Montreal when planes are back up and running.
Well, come on, are you serious? You wouldn't even let me? Canada won't even let us in. You can't come. In fact, over the last holiday, some of my friends were going down to Rocky Point in Mexico, and Mexico was not letting them in. I mean, for all the we're going to build a wall and they're going to pay for it, they're like, we're just not even going to let you in right now. I mean, is it kind of embarrassing? I always felt like Canada, which, by the way, for you dental MBA future guys, Canada and California, if you have the stats on one, you have the stats on there. They have the same population, same number of dentists, same GDP. California is 10% of America on the West Coast. Canada's another 10% laying right above us. If you look at the population density, 90% of all Canadians live within 100 miles of the U.S. border. Above that, there's a space bigger than the United States with almost no people in there. And by the way, the best fishing on the planet I ever did was in the Yukon. Have you ever gone fishing in the Yukon?
Yeah, I have actually. I've been to Northwest Territories. I drove by Yukon a few times. Yeah, it was awesome.
I just love
White Horse. Yeah.
The Yukon's my favorite part of Canada, but I love Vancouver. I love French Quebec. I think I love Montreal as much as France. I mean, I really do. I mean, just absolutely love that place.
Montreal have American dollars to spend, you got to spend it in Montreal. You're going to get so much on the exchange rate today. It's almost 40%. Everything's basically a 40% discount to you.
Wow. Yeah, and that's when they start, and then when the dollar gets real strong, that's why they hedge their currency bet in real estate in the Phoenix market. In fact, I'll make this prediction. John Lyons has swam in my swimming pool, and he's in your town. Before you're my age, you will own a home in Phoenix, Arizona. It's just what rich Canadian dentists do. But, hey, thanks for all that you've done. Do tell John to come on the show sometime, and good luck with Dentira. So it's www.dentira.com. And if someone has a question about that, should they just go to that website? How do they contact you?
They can go on the website. We have info@dentira.com, and they can just shoot an email, and we'll be glad to follow up with them.
Is it info@dentira.com? Because mine says
support at Dentira.com.
support. Yeah, okay. So it's support at Dentira.com, Dentira. And now you're gonna go spend the rest of your day designing a new logo, wearing a tiara, and show it to your daughter. All right.
Well,
Have
appreciate it.
a great day, buddy.